and being able to tune into yourself, to that part of you that always knows the answer, that always knows what to do. And then also talking about relationships this week and how those two things are interconnected. Because really, when you are able to connect with that deeper self that always knows the answer, then your relationships in your life really begin to shift and change. And I've watched this happen with so many people, because once you're able to change the relationship with yourself and how you treat yourself and how you interact with yourself, how you talk to yourself in your mind, and how you feel about yourself, once we're able to heal and change that, then every relationship around you begins to shift and change. And I've seen this with myself, and I've seen it with my clients, and it's just kind of this magical thing that happens, because once you start holding yourself in a higher regard, then everyone around you begins to follow suit, because you're just energetically not available for anything else. And it's really that simple. And another thing I've really been working with my clients on this week is around really being able to start trusting yourself and trusting your inner knowing in a deeper way. So what is intuition, right? This is the title of this video, and what I'm really jazzed about talking about this week. So, what is your intuition? So, your intuition is this part of yourself that always knows the answer, right? This part of yourself deep down inside that always knows what to do, that always knows the next step, that always has the answer, right? And a lot of times we're looking outside ourselves, we're asking other people, we're looking for some sort of external validation for something that we probably really all already know the answer to deep down inside. And it's normal, because there's a lot of societal conditioning around this from basically birth. We're conditioned to look outside of ourselves for answers, right? We're dependent on our parents, and we're looking to them for love, for acceptance, for approval, and that's totally normal. But all of these other conditionings from society, like we go to school and we want validation from our teacher, and then we need validation from our friends. We're so trained to look outside of ourselves for validation and for answers, that when it comes to making a decision, we don't trust our inner knowing. We're looking at everyone else for answers, and most of the time we're not going to find them, or we're not going to find what we're looking for in others. The only place that we're really going to find the answer is looking within ourselves, because there is this deep place inside of each and every one of us that already knows the answer. You already know what you want to be doing, what your heart is really desiring to do. And the more and more that we ignore that, the more problems we have, right? The more problems we end up having in the outer world, because we're ignoring that inner knowing, those inner desires that are telling us, hey, do this next. This is what I really want to do. And one of the best ways to connect with your intuition is just really starting to notice what you're naturally drawn towards, right? Like what you naturally like, what you naturally want to do, what lights you up, what could you do all day long and never get sick of it, and never be bored, and not even realize that 3 hours have gone by. That is a great way to connect to your intuition, because those natural desires, those natural things that really make you happy, that is your soul kind of communicating with you about where you should go next, or what you should be doing, because that's kind of the way your feelings are communicators, right? So when you receive that communication from yourself, it's showing you, hey, this is the direction you should be going in. Okay. So that's a really great way to begin to connect with your intuition, is just start to notice your feelings, start to notice what truly makes you happy. And then you can begin to kind of slowly remove the things from your life that don't really light you up, that don't really make you happy, and start to add in more of those things that really light you up, and start to like go down that rabbit hole of those things, and then start to create a life for yourself that really involves all of these things that light you up, that make you really happy. And then you can start to share those gifts with other people and really start to feel fulfilled in a different way. So connecting with your intuition is super, super important, especially around relationships. So this week I'm offering a relationship reading to people. I am super excited to work with people around relationships because I love looking at people's relationships and seeing what the dynamics are, and seeing how we can shift and change those dynamics, because most of the dynamics that we're playing out in all of our relationships are usually a pattern or dynamic that we picked up from our family growing up, right? So between the ages of like 0 to like 8 or 9 years old, we are watching our parents, and the way that our parents interact with each other and the way that we interact with them, we start to pick up on these dynamics, and then we create them when we get older in our other relationships in our life. So a lot of the dynamics that we play out in relationships are subconscious patterns that we picked up growing up. So in the work that I'm doing with people this week around relationships is really just looking at what is coming up for you in relationships, what you're seeing out here in your relationships, and then seeing how it goes back to the relationships you had growing up, and then how it really goes back to the relationship you have with yourself. Because that is really where you're going to find the growth, is when you start to change your relationship with yourself. Because so many of us have this conditioning, actually most of us, all of us, have this conditioning from society of feeling for some reason like we're not good enough, not deserving enough, or not worthy enough to create the things that we want in our lives. So therefore, we don't try to get these things, or we try, but because we don't feel worthy enough, we're not able to attract those things in. So once you can start to change the relationship with yourself, like I said, all of the other relationships in your life will change. And how that connects with connecting with your intuition is once you start honoring yourself, and hold on one second, babe. Can you just give me one sec?
Mommy,
hold on.
Okay,
can you just wait? Okay. So sorry, kids. Okay, I'll be right down. Okay, so once we start really being able to honor our own intuition and what we're truly feeling, that starts to build up our self-worth and the way that we feel about ourselves. And then we're able to... Yes, babe.
Daddy said we couldn't watch a show.
Okay. Can you wait until I'm done, and then I'll talk to everybody about it?
How are you going to convince him?
I will talk to him. Can you just wait 1 second, please? Thank you. Sorry, kids. I'm sure everyone has experienced this. If you're home with kids, it's hard to have any alone time, but that's okay. So anyway, how your intuition connects with your relationships. So as you begin to start to connect with your intuition and really begin to honor the way that you feel instead of ignoring the way that you feel, then you will start to feel more confident and better about yourself, because you're actually honoring those feelings that you have deep inside. You're actually telling yourself in a subconscious way, these feelings I have are really important. And then as you start to honor those, you start to feel better and better about yourself. And then as you're feeling better and better about yourself, you're going to attract people into your life that treat you that way, that feel that way about you. And then all of the people in your life that maybe don't feel good about themselves and don't treat other people well, they'll either start to treat you differently or they'll actually just fall out of your life. So it's really, really simple and easy, because as we build up this relationship with ourselves, then everything else kind of like shifts and changes, and you don't really even have to do anything when it comes to your relationships in the outer world, because you just won't be available to be treated in a way that you used to be when you didn't feel as good about yourself. So yeah, that is kind of how those two things connect. And it's just super, super important to honor the way that you're feeling. This is kind of what I was talking about last week, when I was talking about anxiety, is if we don't allow ourselves to feel our feelings, and if we continue to push them down or pretend that they're not there or distract ourselves so we don't have to feel them, they just continue to pile up, and then they come out in different ways. So it's so important that we honor the way that we feel about things. And if something happens or someone does something that doesn't feel right to you, it's so important to honor that and set boundaries with people. And especially just admit to yourself, like, hey, this is how I'm feeling. This wasn't okay, instead of acting from a place of trying to make someone else feel comfortable. So it's so important to just honor those feelings that you have. And as you do that, you'll start to trust more and more and more. You'll start to trust yourself and realize, like, hey, I know what's best for me more than anyone else. And the less you'll kind of be like asking for everyone else's opinion, and the more you'll just be tuning in to how you feel and using that as kind of a barometer to know what you should do next. Because I know there's so many people right now that are like wondering like what they should do next, right? The world is kind of changing and we're not really sure what's going to happen. And instead of kind of looking out here for what other people think you should do or asking other people for their opinion, it's really important right now to trust your inner knowing and your inner guidance system. And a great way to begin to get in touch with trusting your feelings is through breath work. And it's just something that I'm seeing magic happening every single day with my clients. And it's just so powerful, and it can happen fairly quickly. So, yeah, it's just really, really amazing. So right now I am offering a radical relationship reading. So this is just a 60-minute intuitive reading where we'll talk about where you're at with all your relationships in your life. I'll pinpoint exactly what patterns and dynamics are playing out and help you understand how you can pivot them and change the story into something else that feels more aligned with your well-being and more aligned with who you are in present time, instead of playing out dynamics that occurred in the past. So this is a really, really fun hour-long reading through Zoom, where we can go deep into your relationships, figure out how we can create aligned action steps to help you transform your relationship with yourself in order to create successful and beautiful relationships with everyone in your life. So message me or drop a comment below. I only actually have 2 more spaces left. And I'm going to close this offer at the end of the day tomorrow. So yes, I only have 2 spots available. So message me to schedule your appointment. And that is it. I'm going to go now, and I'm really, really excited to work with you. And if you have any questions, just feel free to reach out to me. I love hearing from people. I love hearing what you have to say, and I'm happy to help. If you haven't already, join my free Facebook community called Breathe to Succeed. I would love to have you because I share a lot of really fun stuff on there. So yeah, looking forward to hearing from you. Bye.